Well, let's see. We'll try to.
Your mother, she wanted to ask questions
Yeah.
about
Okay.
the family. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, because every time you talk about some people, I hear the names over and over, but I don't know who they
how
are.
far back did you want to go? I can go back 6 generations.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Let's see. You mean 6 generations back?
Well, same as I'm one, or you're one, I'm 2. And,
Well, no, Mother would be 2. Then you would
yeah,
be
your
3.
mother's 3. I'd be 3.
Yeah.
And then my parents before, father and mother both.
Mm-hmm.
And then their parents were born here in Rockport. That's 5.
Mm-hmm.
And 6, a little bit. 5, 6, both were born here.
Oh.
And
Now, your mother was a Paul before she was married?
yes.
And
I
what...
wish I'd asked them more questions.
Yeah, I know. What was your father's mother's maiden name?
My father's mother, that was Granny Wall. Her name was Stanhope.
Oh, really?
And her grandfather was Earl Stanhope.
From
England.
From England. I see.
Wow.
Oh, that's where that comes in. I thought it was on your mother's side. It's your father's side.
No, it was my father's mother's father.
Your father's mother's father.
My
I
father's
see.
grandmother did.
Yeah. Father's mother's mother. Yeah. So did she come over here then? From that? Does that go way back to the 1600s?
That's what we'd like to
or-
know. Ross has
Oh.
looked everywhere to find those connections. But we do know, of course I could have found out very easily by asking my grandmother when I used to visit down there. I used to visit every summer.
That's right. I remember.
And she told me all about it, but I never thought of it.
Hmm.
But he did say that my father said that his grandfather came to Calais, Maine, and he had a vessel. He used to go there and get lumber. And for somebody, load lumber. China, his boat.
Yeah, to carry for him.
And that way he met my grandmother, and her name was Lydia Stanhope.
Oh.
And he'd been married before, and his wife died, left him with 2 little girls. So he married Granny Wall, Lydia, and they had 6 children, twins.
Mm-hmm. Plus his 2?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh.
And she was homesick, and they got married.
For Calais, you mean? They
She
came
was
here?
homesick, yeah, for Calais, and when she came back to Tennis Harbor, or Elmore, Heart's Neck, it really was called Heart's Neck.
Oh, well, it's still part of it's still called that, though. I know there's a sign for it down there.
And so he told her that if she would get used to living there, he'd build her a house. And so he did. That house is still there. That's how we used to go visit.
Oh. Huh.
Um,
Well, when he promised her that, where were they living then? Just in a rented
well,
house?
he
or?
must have been renting.
I see.
I guess there's a house across the street, though, coming there. Kate was across the street.
Now, who is she? Is she?
Well, she was my father's sister.
Uh-huh.
And she married a Bickmore. Her name was Kate Bickmore.
Oh.
She had quite a family, 6 children.
Hmm.
I think probably my grandmother might have lived with her.
I see. That'd be her
when she was
daughter.
told they'd
Yeah.
build her a house, I think she was.
Hmm.
It'd been so easy to find out, and we didn't just didn't bother.
There might be people down there that might know that. Aren't there a lot of walls down there?
No, well, there's one place where there's some walls.
Oh.
But no, that part's all been sold to the summer people.
Oh, really? Oh, I see. That land, you mean?
Grandparents were. It's all sold.
Hmm.
And one day, we went down, your mother and I, and stopped to look the place over. And this man come out, and he got talking with him. And I told him that my grandmother used to live there, and we used to visit. He said, "Would you like to come in?" And I said, "Yes." So we went in, and they changed things around. It's different.
Oh. But it was the same house?
Yeah, same house.
And that's where you used to go? Did your father ever marry again?
My father?
I mean, your father. Did he marry again?
Yes, he married again.
Who was that?
Well, it was a Mrs. Aldrich. Mrs. Aldrich owned a property down there. It was a summer home.
Mm-hmm.
My father was a caretaker.
Oh.
And so, what was she talking about?
About your father marrying again.
Oh, yes. Well, it was one of the servants.
Oh, oh. Did you ever meet her?
I never really got acquainted with her.
Hmm. So how old were you when that happened?
I don't know, just when he married her. But we didn't go down there after, what year was that? Probably 1900. I did
1900, something like that? Oh, wait.
We used to go when I was about 14, and I was born in 87.
So, 1901, you would be 14 then?
I'd be 14.
In 1901, I think. Because 87 and 13 is 100.
That's when we went down and visited 1, 2, 3, 4, right through there.
Hmm.
And I never did meet Mrs. Aldrich except once. They had a golden wedding party, and I died. Nothing ever bothered I died. She'd go anywhere she wanted to.
Hmm.
We were invited, but we went to the golden wedding. She could go anywhere, I don't know.
Huh. So was it just the two of you?
Just told the woman, Mrs. Aldrich, who we were. She didn't know us.
Oh, boy.
I had quite time then.
Really?
Her bouquet on the table was an immense bunch of yellow roses, just beautiful. And so when I had my golden wedding, Ross Patterson wanted to know what he could get us, and I said, "Oh, get me some yellow roses."
Like Mrs. Aldrich did.
And he did.
Really? Hmm. Hmm. That seems like a long time ago, your 50th anniversary. Because I remember your 70th anniversary party.
I don't know what year it was.
Well, the 70th, because, I mean, your 50th anniversary party.
60th.
Well, didn't you have a big 50th party when we all came at night?
Yes, we did.
It was a surprise or something, wasn't it?
No, the 40th was a surprise.
Oh.
I got all kinds of anniversaries.
Oh.
But the 50th, no, that was real public. We sent out invitations.
Oh.
You girls sang, you remember?
Yes, I do. I don't want to, but I remember. I mean, I do remember.
And after that, we had the 65th anniversary. That's the last one.
Hmm. Wow.
So there's a lot of ancestry back, so I only get hold of it. Of course, Ross has studied it right up to the last thing.
Well, he's written down a lot of things.
More than I could.
Well, but he can't tell what he I mean, he doesn't remember what you remember though about things you did. I mean, the things that you actually did, like walking up on top of Ragged Mountain. And wasn't it Ragged Mountain you used to walk up on top of? 10 miles from where you lived and back?
One Sunday we walked up there, and 6 miles. See, it was.
Oh.
It was 3 miles to the mountain. Then, no, it was probably 4 miles. Then a mile up to the top. Then the same thing back again.
That's from your mother's house on Richards Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. You used to call it something else. What? Not Richards Hill.
Ragged Mountain.
No, Richards Hill. What did you always call it?
Paul's Hill.
Paul's Hill. That's.
It should be Paul's Hill.
They're all Paul houses.
My grandfather owned it, and every house up there, a Paul lived in it.
Yeah.
His children.
He built them all, didn't he? Didn't he build a lot of those houses?
Well, he helped.
Uh-huh.
He gave them the land.
Oh.
Then he helped them build.
Mm-hmm.
I think he wanted his children near him. I don't know, because he had 6 children.
Mm-hmm.
And they all had a house up there.
Hmm.
But somebody, because Mr. Richards lived at the top of the hill, they called it Richards Hill.
So that hasn't been very long, probably, it's been called that, has it?
How
Because
long ago?
Mr. Richards didn't live there all his life, did he?
I don't even know who he was, except that he was dead when I was old enough to know him.
Well, I was thinking it might be Ted Richards, the principal.
No.
Oh, I see.
No.
I see. Huh. Oh.
Then
Why would they?
Alfred Butler, who was my sister's father-in-law, bought the place. Some land and the house. Wanted they didn't change it to Butler Hill. But it was Richards Hill, and he bought on it. Cram owned a lot of land.
Well, he owned Beach Hill, you said, right?
Yes.
At one time?
He owned the cemetery years up here.
Oh, where, on Amesbury Hill or in?
Amesbury Hill.
Uh-huh.
He bought that, and he sold it.
Wow. Is he the one who built the road along the shore to?
We called it the New Road.
And it went all the way to.
He was always going down there, going back and forth on that road.
And did it go to Oakland Park?
No, it don't. It goes to Ballard Park.
Oh, okay.
Oakland Park's another mile.
Okay, I see.
We used to walk down there, though, from the house.
Must have been pretty walk.
It was. And you know Donald Johnson owns all that now, and that's a fortune there.
Yeah.
People are paying him out for a piece of that land because it goes right down to the ocean.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know his land.
Yes, it does. Grandpa owned all of it. But it had no value then.
No.
I don't know why to make a road there, but he did.
Well,
Must have been a god-awful job to get down there, that
I know,
rocky old shore, and build that road.
Yeah, it's all quite steep there, I think. It must have gone,
Yes,
you
some
must
of
have had
it
to
is
level it
very
out.
steep.
Yeah. Well, you know, there are still traces of it there, because Ken's father owned a piece that cut across that road somewhere there.
Did.
Near the, well, it used to be the Lobster Pound restaurant, and now it's the camping grounds, the Gunnacook camping grounds. And near where Down East Magazine now is, that used to be Roxmont. Remember?
Yeah.
Right behind there, his father owned about, I think, 13 acres there.
Is that in Waterview?
Yeah, it was. But now he sold it.
Anything out of Waterview was valuable.
Yeah, he sold it, though. He doesn't own it now.
Oh, he don't own it?
No.
Well, Don owns it. Up farther, you know,
Yeah.
the house.
Yeah. And he says his brother lives next to him in a trailer there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I asked him about that, because his brother's quite a gardener, and I noticed all these gardens out there. He's got asparagus beds and little
we called on him one day.
nursery for his little evergreen trees and everything. And he said, well, he's my brother. And I didn't have any idea that was his brother.
Myrtle wondered why he set out all those trees.
I know.
Said it's going to be a regular forest.
He could sell those trees. He could get a good price for those trees.
Good.
Yeah, because they're big sizes. You usually have to buy trees quite small around here, or order them special if they're bigger, I think. He could probably get quite a
Perhaps he knows
price
it.
for them.
I
Maybe.
think Donald knows how to make money.
Well, Grandma, one thing I wanted to ask you is, when did telephones come in around here?
When your mother moved in, expecting the twins, and Aunt Alice moved in. They wanted a telephone.
Oh, well, did a lot of people have them then, around here, or?
Did other people?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, telephones were pretty common around the 1900s, weren't they? Or
Sure, they were common, but I never wanted one.
I see. I see.
But they did.
But there were poles. I mean, there were telephone lines around, and you could hook into them then. They had telephone poles on the street.
Oh, I suppose so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about it.
But that's fairly late.
After we got the phone, we couldn't get along without it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But back farther than that, before I left home, we had a phone put in. It was $12 a year.
Oh. Oh dear. Well, you mean at your mother's house? You had a phone?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So what year would that have been?
Oh gosh, it was long before I was married.
You were married in 1908, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow, they have been around here a long time then.
But she didn't like it.
No?
She didn't keep it too long. She had taken out.
Hmm.
What was I going to say? Something.
I was too. Oh, the reason that Mother wanted the phone here was because she was pregnant. She needed to get to the doctor.
Yeah, and of course Alice was here too.
Oh right, yeah.
She came. Your mother came in the summer. How was that?
She'd been living in Boston, right? Before
Yes,
that.
she came from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at any rate, right after she came, Alice arrived from New York. She was living there.
Mm-hmm.
And with Judy.
Oh, that's right.
And Philip. Then she had Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And your mother had you too.
Mm-hmm.
But she moved right out. Alice was very independent. I guess she thought I didn't want her, or perhaps she didn't like so many folks around, because she went to Bath and hunted around, found a house.
Oh.
And the funny thing was that Philip came in that night, from work. He worked in Bath. And he said, "Gee, Alice, I found a house." And she says, "You did?" "Yes, I did," he said. So he described it. She says, "The same one I found."
Oh.
And they moved into it. That was Woolwich.
Oh, yeah.
Right near the bridge.
That's where Debbie ended up living for a while, too. Debbie
Did
Hanna,
she?
remember, yeah. Yeah. Huh.
So they weren't here very long, probably 6 months.
Hmm. But was Peter born during that time?
He was born in Rockland with his people.
I see.
But she moved right up here after the baby was older than probably in 2 weeks, maybe.
I see. So you had quite a house full, didn't you?
Oh, boy. Say we did.
It must have been fun.
But I was alone. Your grandfather worked in Bath. He never came home once in a while.
Uh-huh.
And so I was glad to have somebody with me.
Uh-huh. I would think it would have been fun.
Now I'm all alone again.
Well, I know. It's either the frying pan or the fire, isn't it? Oh, well, no, that's not. Feast or famine, that's what I wanted to say. Well, let's see. I'd like you to tell about some of the things you did when you were a little girl with your sisters and.
A little girl?
Yeah. Back in the.
Well, one thing, we had a playhouse, and I think that was rather unusual, because it was quite a place. My father fixed it all up, put it a seal in of crepe paper, and he made furniture. We had an old couch made out of wood, but we covered it with cloth. And we had a corner cupboard with dishes and a chair. And then we go down in the pasture. Right behind this playhouse was the pasture. And Uncle Will owned it, and he kept it cut down so we could always go out there and pick berries.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and so we bring in the berries. Myrtle and Ethel, they were just probably 6, 7 years old. and Aunt Di and I would cook. And we'd mix up, we always had a cow and a pig and hens. And we'd go up and get some of their food, some of the meal that the cow had. And then with the house, and my mother would give us a little sugar. So we'd mix up something, put berries in it, blueberries or bunch berries, something. And then we'd want in the middle to eat it. They didn't want to eat it, it didn't taste good. And we said, it's got sugar in it. So they ate it. That pastor had 2 brooks. Now that's unusual.
It looks pretty out there.
Brook, but they didn't very often have 2.
Yeah, no. They must have come together somewhere.
We could play in those 3 brooks, really. But we couldn't play in those that went down in the pasture because they were rather big brooks.
Oh.
We'd keep away from those.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one was right near the playhouse. We used to go jump across. Sometimes you'd jump in. But my mother was pretty strict. She says, you get your feet wet, you can't play in that brook.
I suppose you wore dresses. You probably didn't wear pants.
Oh, yes, because we wore dresses.
Mm-hmm.
And lace shoes. Always black shoes.
Oh,
black stockings.
Mm-hmm.
And then we decided when we were going anywhere and playing, it was Bar Harbor. So I was going to Bar Harbor. I don't know why, unless because Aunt Jessie lived there. She was my mother's sister.
Oh, yes, the dressmaker, right?
So we'd get the doll carriages out and the dolls, and we'd get in the house and get some old clothes and wear them, strike out. Myrtle always came up. There was always about 6 of us. Trail around the house with that rig. But
now, is Aunt Gussie older than you? Was she older than you?
She's 7 years older than I am.
And then it was you were next, and then...
Who?
Were you the second oldest of the girls?
No, yes, of the girls.
And then Edna, and then Diana?
Diana, then Edna.
Oh, Edna was the youngest. I see, okay. Well, was Gussie too old to play with you at that time?
She was like another mother.
Oh.
We minded her, and she was awful good to us. I don't think she ever was cross. Once she got kind of mad at my cousin, Mildred Richards. You heard me speak of her?
I have, yeah.
Well, she was at my house so much, playing outdoors. She lived right next to us, you know, because Grant gave her father a house lot. And so we had an apple tree, and we had a croquet set. We spent hours playing croquet. And she'd come over and want to play to us. She was kind of mischievous. So she climbed the apple tree. And we said, you can't, we're not allowed to climb that tree and bother her. So we went in and told Gussie about it. And she came right out. And she said, Mildred, you get down out of that tree. And she said, is your name Virginia? That was her mother. And she said, I'll show you whether it's Virginia or not. She slanted out of that tree in no time. So she had discipline with us.
I'd say, yeah.
And then the father came home from work one night. He came over with a little suitcase. And he said, I thought you were going to live over here. You better have some clothes. Oh, she was pretty tickled. She opened it, there was a stick in it.
Oh.
He took the stick, switched the legs with it, and went home.
Oh, dear.
She didn't have a very happy life.
No. Well,
died when she was 8 years old.
Oh, really?
She went from pillar to post.
Really? You mean she just...
Her father's relation and her mother's relation. She lived with them.
Back and forth, you mean?
Yeah.
That must have been hard.
My mother never seemed to like Mildred. I don't know why. I always liked her. In fact, years after this, before either of us were married, we worked at the plaster factory in Camden. We worked together, she and I. And she was good company. We could talk, if we wanted to. And, nothing very strict over there. But I don't know. She always said that she liked me best because I was friendly.
Well, that isn't the Richards Hill is named for, is it? If she lived right there too.
No, that Richards was Lincolnville.
Oh.
People. And they lived in a house that was 200 years old up in
my gosh.
What's that called? It's not Lincolnville.
Lincolnville Center?
What's what?
Lincolnville Center?
No. What's the name of that?
Not Duck Trap, or...
No. It's out of inland.
Oh, inland. Oh, what would that be?
Well, anyway, she lived there, and her husband died. He was lost older than she was. And she had that one, you've seen her, haven't you? Dorothy.
No, I'm not sure who you're talking about now.
Mildred Richards.
Oh, Mildred's husband died, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, and they had one daughter?
Dorothy. They had one daughter, Dorothy.
What's the last name?
No, they had a boy too. They had a son.
What was the last name? Who did she marry?
Richards.
Oh, I see. When you called her Mildred Richards, that was her married name.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Mildred Paul.
Oh, yes, you said she was your cousin.
Paul Richards.
Huh.
And
Dorothy Richards? No, I don't know that. I don't think I know them. I don't think. Well, Dorothy would be about my mother's age then, probably, right? Something like that, or?
Well, yes.
Is she around here now?
She what?
Is she around here now?
She lives in a mobile home up in this Lincolnville section.
Oh, yeah.
I think what they call that.
Not the Youngstown Road? Or...
Yes.
Oh, it is? Oh.
That's it.
Okay.
There goes Ellis.
Oh,
Ellis.
okay, it's on now. Go ahead.
I am a little girl and very happy playing with my sisters and cousins, indoors or out of doors. So when my mother told me that my sister and I were to be in entertainment in the Opera House downtown, we were indeed flattered. But on finding we were to be in a cakewalk and I to play a boy's part, changed the picture. There were to be 8 boys and 8 girls, but boys were evidently hard to find. So some of the bigger girls would have to work to take a boy's part, and I happened to be a bigger girl. My mother made me some pants. I remember this. My mother made me some pants and a jacket, which I wore with a great deal of reluctance. We were taught how to cakewalk, to lean over backwards and take high steps, and were told that the one who did the best would win a cake. I remember a 3-year-old curly-headed girl won the cake, and she probably deserved it. That was my first contact with the Opera House. My next was to a Punch and Judy show, and I was probably in the 5th grade. We were told to bring 5 cents, and the school would go in a body, with the teacher as guide and chaperone. I had no idea what a Punch and Judy show was, but followed the crowd. It was held in the basement of the Opera House. I did not think it very interesting. We were promised a prize, and I thought the prize might be a doll or a book. It turned out to be a package of sachet powder, which I dropped. I would, and couldn't find, so went back to get another, but failed. They did not give refunds. My oldest sister graduated from high school in 1899, and the exercises were in the Opera House. I was 12 years old, and went to the exercises with my mother. I thought my sister looked beautiful, and I think she did, with ruffles, lace, ribbons, and flowers. You see that picture?
No, I haven't. Oh, I'd like to see it.
Now I am in high school, and many of our noon hours are spent in the opera house dancing. Then I am in 2 separate drills, a flag and a rose drill. We had hopes decorated with paper roses, which we made for the rose drill. These entertainments were in the opera house. Town meeting was always held there, and women were not allowed.
Oh, my.
So we thought we were very daring to attend and sit in the balcony. Tobacco smoke soon drove us out.
Now, when was that? What year was that when you did that?
What year?
About, or how old were you?
94.
So you were 12 or 13? Oh.
Might have been. Oh, I was 14, I was 16.
Oh. Oh, yes, okay. Well, oh, yes, because you were born in 87. Well, who else went with you to that?
What's that?
Who else did that with you? You went.
May Fogler. She always was just half boy anyway. She rammed in there, was unconcerned, and I went right behind her. And went up to the balcony, but the smoke came up into the balcony. It was awful. Pipes, cigars. Yeah. But she went around and sold tickets for the dinner. We put on a public dinner. We sold tickets. I would do that, but she did.
So were you the only 2 women in there then?
As I remember, I might have had another classmate, I'm not sure.
But that's still not
Well, very many of us said we weren't allowed in there.
Probably the men would tickle pink to see some female faces.
My class of 5 girls also graduated in 96 and was the last one for 20 years.
What do you mean now?
Well, they turned the opera house back into a YMCA.
Oh, I see.
And so we didn't have to. We earned money for the event in different ways. One way was put in on dances in the opera house. Many happy hours were spent that way, and that's as far as I got. Then I found this too. Now this is quite long. Perhaps you'd rather read it yourself.
No, that's okay. I have a lot of time on this tape. I think I have about 40 more minutes or something.
Why do I start in this? I numbered the pages. So here it is. I went a rainy day. I meant staying inside, but we had an upstairs room over the kitchen. Probably I was about 8, 9 years old, maybe less. Called the porch chamber, and it was full of treasures. It seemed a large place to us. We even had a teeter board there. There was a small table on which we played games. One card game in particular from cards given us in Sunday school. We, Diana and I, each had one, and so we made a book out of 2 cards. We practically wore it out, too. I learned a lot of Bible names that way. Sometimes at noon, Mother would send up a little pie or cake, and we would cut them in pieces and have dinner all by ourselves. Another time we were playing checkers with buttons instead of the wooden checkers. Our youngest sister Edna was 3 at this time and wanted us to play with her, but we weren't inclined that way. So in our absence, she swallowed all of the large white buttons. And when we went back to play and found them gone, we looked for her, and found her hiding behind the door. Diana said, shaking her finger at her, "Where are those checkers?" Edna opened her mouth and pointed therein, saying, "Way, way down my hole." "Well," said Diana, "you hucker 'em up." She tried, but nothing showed up. So we went and told Ma. My poor mother was distracted. 12 large buttons in Edna's stomach. She reported to the doctor. Now, how did she get word to the doctor? We didn't have a telephone.
Did you have a horse or a buggy or anything?
After you get word to her, yes, she had a buggy and a horse.
But you didn't. I mean, she didn't.
No, oh no.
Hitch up a horse or anything.
I don't know how we got.
Maybe
the doctor. How did we get word to her?
Was her father around or any relative close by? That
Was what?
Was their father? Did he have a team of?
My father.
No, her father, your mother's father, or?
Yes. Oh yes, they had 2 horses.
Would he have gone? Do you think, or?
Perhaps he did.
Did she?
I don't know.
Maybe she had to depend on him where her husband was going.
She reported to the doctor, but he said they would pass through her bowels, which they sure enough did, and was strung and hung from a nail in the kitchen for sightseers. Anyway, our checkers game was out for that day. I think most everybody on the hill, Paul's Hill, had a cow and a bucket, had a cow, and a boy from the poor farm drove them to pasture.
Now, was the poor farm in Rockport?
The Whitney house. Do you know where the Whitney house?
Where Bob Welch and Joanne live now. Yes, I know. That was the poor
She
farm.
took all the town papas boarded, and the town paid for it.
Oh.
A boy from the poor farm drove them to pasture and back each summer day for 30 cents a week. Probably he had 6 cows. Our cow provided us with milk, cream, and butter, and Mother sold butter 25 cents a pound and milk 6 cents a quart, as we had more than we could use. Diana learned to milk the animal, but I was frightened of her. I was always afraid of horses, cows, and dogs. We acquired a dog, so I got over my fear of them. Sunday was a day by itself. We had a wash tub bath on Saturday night, and Sunday morning we were ushered into my mother's roomy bedroom. On the bed were our best dresses, always white in summer, and a sash to go with it. Also a starched petticoat. Our hair in curls until we were six, and with our statueness we rattled as we walked down the street.
Were you going
to the hill?
Were you going to church? Is that right?
Yeah.
I see.
To the foot of the hill where the church stood.
Now, where's that? What church?
You remember the Advent church? As you go up, Paul's up on Richard's Hill.
Yeah.
At the foot of the hill is a brook.
You mean back down toward
Down towards Hoboken.
Oh, okay.
Not that far though. Just
yeah.
And there was a church there, the Advent church.
Oh.
And that's where we went to Sunday school.
Oh, I didn't know there was a church there.
No. My mother played the organ.
Oh.
Mother played the organ for services. The rest of the way we played the rest of the day we played quiet games or walked somewhere. When older.
Did you keep those clothes on all day, or?
I don't think so. I think we put our school clothes on. We had 3 rigs: play dress, school dress, and Sunday.
Oh.
But she made them all. My mother made them all.
Really? Did you look forward to wearing those Sunday clothes? Was that sort of a treat? Or
Was that what?
was it a treat to wear the Sunday clothes?
Oh, yes.
It wasn't a...
Oh, we loved it.
Oh.
starch petticoats all rattled around.
Now, did all of you sisters, did all of you go to church together, all four of you?
Just us three girls.
The three younger ones.
My mother always said she had two different families. She had four
yeah.
children. Then after 3 years, she had me, and Diana and Ethel.
I see.
So we were sort of separate.
So all the brothers were older.
Oh, yeah.
There was
all older.
Weston and Stanley and...
Melvin.
Oh, yeah. So Gussie had all these brothers to deal with, didn't she?
Yes, she brought her over the middle of them.
That must have been really different for her.
We loved to go through the woods to the shore and watch the waves break against the rocks. And then there were always books to read. As we got into our teens, we attended church by ourselves. Sunday school after church, and our class became a club, and we entertained at each other's homes. Then in the afternoon was Sunday, was Christian Endeavor, and evening church again. That was about 3 miles of walking each Sunday, but we thought nothing of it. The Sunday school had a small library, and I think I read every book therein, occasionally finding one interesting. I remember that. It was like a great big bookcase. We never could find a book that we liked. Christmas was a time of rejoicing, and how my mother financed it, I'll never know. We never had a tree because her father never did, and what father did was law to her. We anticipated the day weeks before, and on the Christmas Eve hanged our stockings on the chimney behind the kitchen stove. How I would love to be so thrilled again. I remember one morning we awoke and requested our eldest sister to go downstairs and see what time it was, hoping it was time to get up. She returned and said it was only 2 o'clock and for us to quiet down and go to sleep again. We asked if Santa had been there, and she said yes. So many things in the stockings over the chimney. The next time we awoke, it was time to get up, and how we hustled down the stairs in the cold. Sure enough, there were gifts for all. Always a doll, and then toys and candy and nuts. So little compared to Christmases today, but as much joy and perhaps more.
Mm-hmm.
The Sunday school always had a big tree to which we went and received a bag of popcorn and candy. No celebration on New Year's Eve. My children have automatic. Oh, this is how wash day used to be. My children have automatic washers and dryers, and I look back to when I was young, say 1900. On wash day, generally Monday, the implements of washing was assembled. First, the bench on which were placed 2 tubs, and a wringer clamped on to the wash tub, and then later to the rinse tub. A boiler was nearly filled with water, which we carried by pail from the well, the pailful from the well, into which was scraped welcome soap. The clothes were put into the cold water and pushed down by the clothes stick until the water was hot. The fire in the old iron stove had to be fed by wood, which meant moving the boiler to put it in. Then we took the sudsy water from the boiler by the stick into a big pan and then into the tub. Cold water had to be added so as to scrub the clothes on the washboard. This was hard work, and my mother didn't allow us to scrub, said it would spoil our hands. But we could put the clothes through the wringer, then rinse them in the second tub. Well, that was a nice day, that wash day.
Well, I don't think I'd mind it.
Well,
so much.
Well, with water carried from the well. From there we hung them out of doors to dry. There was in the summertime a big pan of starch in which we dipped our petticoats and dresses. There was also a pail of cold water in which to soak out the monthly napkins.
Oh.
If you don't want that in there, you can mark it out. After they were put into boiling water and on the grass to whiten. When dry, the clothes were neatly folded and the next day ironed. We had